Hi, Nick Pflugh, Chief Commercial Officer at 6K Additive, and excited to be here at RAPID TCT event. We've had a great show. I want to talk a little bit about what we do at 6K Additive. We are producers of premium metal powders that come from sustainable sources and really have a unique process that continues to get a lot of interest from folks here at the show and current customers as well as soon-to-be customers. So in terms of what we do at 6K Additive, what we take is revert, so scrap streams for a lot of different alloys, titanium, nickels, etc. And we then process them through our proprietary cleaning and sizing process. Get the particles into the size that you'd need for a laser cut, for example, or for DED applications. And then we take it into our Unimelt, which is a proprietary microwave-based plasma, and process and get a really nice spherical shape that's high flowability, low porosity, that's needed for great parts in additive manufacturing. So one of the great advantages of the Unimelt is the broad range of materials that we can process. We can process down from aluminums with a very low melting point, clear up to refractories, the tungstens that have a high melting point. And that's the value proposition that we bring. We also bring unique capabilities in terms of mechanical alloying and helping development on new alloys across the board. So in terms of our portfolio, we have very standard ones with the titanium 6.4, as well as the Inconel 625, 718, stainless steel 316, 17.4, really the workhorses in additive manufacturing. But in addition to that, the refractory portfolio that we have with being pure tungsten, tungsten rhenium, as well as tantalum, niobium-based alloys, C103, really that's opens up a whole new world as printing continues to advance in the equipment and also the applications, different industries looking for these high temperature alloys. Really, early adopters in additive manufacturing were medical and aero, and what we're seeing is a continued growth and adoption in space, in semiconductors, and also even into automotive, right? These become more and more high volume applications, and not only do they represent new industries, but they are pulling new materials that's required. So space, for example, requires that a lot of high temperature alloys in some new shapes and capabilities that additive manufacturing can unlock for them. And likewise, with automotive coming on, you have some needs for some high temperature capabilities, whether it be fuel systems or drivetrain, and that's pulling new materials such as copper and some of the copper alloys, some of the tool steels, and so we're seeing a lot more interest in those as well. So the great thing about the Unimelt, in comparison to traditional powder manufacturing methods, which would be typically gas atomization, plasma atomization, is that not only we're using sustainable revert feedstocks, but we can do it and process it at a much lower footprint, both from a carbon emissions as well as from an energy required to produce it. And a lot of that has to do with yield. So how atomization typically works is they're going on gas atomization and they're doing a melt and then hitting it with high pressure gas like an argon and yielding with a large distribution of powders. And then they, if you're going for that 15 to 45 typical cut for a laser powder bed, the rest of it ends up being off sizes that maybe have to go into the ground, right, as a hazardous waste. And what we can do with the Unimelt, we're doing the sizing up front. We're putting the work to get us to size, and then ultimately applying the Unimelt to powder that is already in size, just changing the morphology of it. And therefore, that's helping us be more efficient, more effective, not only in power consumption, but what you're applying the work to is what you're ultimately getting out to make for parts. We've had a lot of people stop by at the booth with regards to as they're growing their additive manufacturing, more volume through machines, they're ending up with more used powder, right? That comes out of spec, either picks up oxygen, begins to agglomerate. They just can't keep using it. And they're looking for solutions other than having it sent to a landfill. And that's really a huge value opportunity that we can provide as 6K Additive, taking in those used powders, bringing the oxygen back down, getting them back into size, and putting them back into useful operation. And so we're always on the lookout for where we can help out with customers, taking that used powder for them to be able to put it back to use. But also, it becomes a nice circular relationship with our customers, where our customers become our suppliers, and vice versa.